In this video, we're going to talk about why Tesla should be able to produce 4.4 million cars in 2025. And the reason why this is important is because understanding Tesla's production numbers is an important piece of the puzzle in order to figure out what Tesla's stock price should be. I happen to think that Tesla's stock price should be about $4,500 by the end of 2025, which means that Tesla is hugely undervalued right now because as the recording of this video, Tesla is trading at $860. So $4,500 by the end of 2025 assumes a couple things. It assumes that they produce 4.4 million cars in 2025 and also assumes a couple of other factors reaching certain levels like their margins, their expenses, and their growth rate. We'll talk about those factors in a separate video. In this video, we're just going to be talking about their production. To get to 4.4 million, let's just see what it's going to take by walking through each year individually. Tesla this year and next year is going to see a ton of growth. They already said that they can produce 1.4 million cars with just their two existing factories this year in Fremont and Shanghai. And then with two new factories coming online in Berlin and Texas, they should be able to produce 1.7 million cars this year. And then next year in 2023, Texas and Berlin should be able to fully ramp. This is based on their previous ramping speed in Shanghai. Shanghai was able to ramp in about a year, and I actually think that Texas and Berlin should be able to ramp a little bit faster given that they probably learned a couple of things from their previous ramp, and they also will be introducing new manufacturing techniques that should help the ramping process even further. So in 2023, I believe they will produce 2.7 million cars. Also, in early 2023, I want to see them start construction on factories 5 and 6. Elon Musk said that they will be announcing their factories 5 and 6 locations by the end of this year. So if they announce the locations of factories 5 and 6 by the end of this year, then they should be able to start construction in early 2023 and be able to finish construction by the end of 2024, which would give them about 2 years from start to finish, which is about how long it took them to construct their other factories from start of construction to first delivery. So that brings us to 2024. In 2024, I believe that their growth rate should slow down pretty significantly. They won't have any new factories to help fuel their growth rate. So their growth rate will just have to be fueled by improving existing factories. So I believe that they'll grow about 26% in 2024, which is much lower than their 50% goal that they've stated before. So this would bring them to 3.4 million cars in 2024. And then finally in 2025, I believe that their growth rate will still be somewhat slow because factories 5 and 6 will just be starting production. So I believe that they will grow about 30% in 2025, which will bring them to 4.4 million cars in 2025. So 4.4 million cars delivered in 2025 is not an outlandish estimate, but it's also not a pessimistic one. But this assumes that Tesla is able to sell every car that it produces. And a lot of people just don't believe that the market is large enough to be able to support selling that many Model 3s and Model Ys when they're priced at $45,000 and above. And this is a very valid concern. I used to have this concern myself, and to some extent, I still have this concern because Toyota Corolla today, which is the highest selling car, sells about 1 million cars globally per year. So how can Tesla be expected to sell 4 times the number of Corollas, maybe even 5 times or eventually 10 times the number of Corollas when a Corolla costs about half the price of a Model 3. I believe that the market will be able to support millions of Model 3s and Model Ys, and I believe this for a couple reasons. First off, the price of an average new car in the US has gone up substantially over the past couple years. Today, the price of an average new car is over $47,000, which is higher than what the base Model 3 comes in at, which is $45,000. This is before factoring in state incentives and before factoring in benefits like being able to use electricity over gas throughout the lifetime of the vehicle. Now this car looks like more of a $40,000 car. For $40,000, you get a ton of value. You get autopilot, you get great performance, you get great safety, arguably the safest car in the world. The Model Y is arguably the second safest car in the world, tested to have the lowest probability of injury. you get a huge touchscreen and you just get a super cool car. I really don't think that comparing Model 3 sales to Corolla sales or comparing RAV4 sales to Model Y sales is an accurate way to predict how many Model 3s and Ys will sell in the future. I think a better way to look at this is to think about how big the market is for cars that are priced $40,000 and above, and think about how much of that market Tesla could capture. Because if someone can afford a car that is $40,000 or $45,000, I don't really see a reason why they wouldn't buy a Model 3 or a Model Y. Also, I would think about how big the market is from the price segment from 30,000 to 40,000, because we know that the average person that buys a Model 3, they don't come from luxury brands. They actually end up trading in their Honda or their Toyota. So basically, let's look at how big the market is from $30,000 plus. We know that globally, the vehicle market is about 80 million cars per year. Let's just say that the market from 30,000 plus, rough estimate, is 50 million cars. If Tesla takes just 20% of the market, that is 10 million cars. If they take 50% of the market, that's 25 million cars. The only thing holding Tesla back right now is that they're not able to produce enough cars to satisfy their demand. Recently, we found out that the Tesla Model Y is the second best-selling car in California. And it would have been the best-selling car in California, and the Model 3 probably would have been the second best-selling car in California if they were able to produce enough Model 3s and Model Ys. Not to mention that Tesla spends $0 today on advertisement. So if Tesla wanted to increase their demand in the future, they can do so through advertisement. And also, I didn't talk about how Tesla's full self-driving software will increase demand in the future. I'll be talking about that a little bit more in my next video, but basically, Tesla's full self-driving software, as it gets better, more people will buy Teslas. And when full self-driving software gets so good to a point where it doesn't require any human supervision, this basically totally transforms their product into a completely different product, and this will spike demand. So given all this information, I believe that 5 million, 10 million, even 20 million Model 3s and Model Ys is very likely. Another reason why I believe that Tesla will be able to sell millions of Model 3s and Model Ys is because I see parallels of what's happening today with Tesla and what happened before with Apple and the smartphone market. Back in 2007, there were dozens of cell phone manufacturers and hundreds of cell phone models, but the iPhone stood above all of them as superior in terms of software, ecosystem, and a developer community. They came in at a higher price point, but fast forward today, Apple sells over 200 million iPhones at an average price of $900. It would have been inconceivable back then that Apple would be able to sell this many iPhones at such a high price point. Basically, what Apple did is they created this market for high price phones, and then they convinced people to join that market. That's what Tesla is doing today. Tesla is creating a market for high priced cars and then convincing people to join that market. That's it for this video. Thanks for watching. See you in the next one.